Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. So the INEC private portal scandal and the Wike-Lere, I think his name is Lere, I forgot. Anyway, I'll come up with the name in a second. With Emeka Ike, they are in some kind of brouhaha back and forth. So it's a secret server that apparently houses a bunch of documents that they were not supposed to have access to, but anyway, now there's an actor in the middle and a brutal media war. Why is the FCT minister being linked to a shadow INEC portal? Yeah. We conclude with the raw digital. Okay, so there's this thing going on, right? There's this news going on right now. Emeka Ike, I saw Emeka Ike in the news over the past few days. I didn't even know he was running for an office, but he was up and down. And but apparently there's now it's become a cyber war. In a short video clip that's going viral online right now, you could hear Emeka Ike saying, "I am not a social media something activist," something like that. But anyway, this whole thing has exploded between our FCT minister and yes, some Wike's machinery and vocal opposition media strategist Lere Olayinka. The trigger? Well, shocking allegations circulating online claiming that high-level actors, some even mentioning veteran actor Emeka Ike's name in loose alignment with high-profile digital campaigns, are exposing or interacting with a supposedly private INEC back-end portal designed to manipulate upcoming election logistics. But actually, it's more so of the actor being on the receiving end of it. Okay. So now INEC is vehemently denied the whole thing, and as usual, they deny everything. They probably will blame it on a snake, but your guess is as good as mine. So, but what they're saying, this old news is around the access, the level of access that certain political officials, political appointees would, in a place like Nigeria, have access to certain portals that only INEC high officials should have access to, and there should be oversight and scrutiny and proper protocol around having access to. So now what happened is that they leaked a document that has some very high sensitive information of the actor turned politician, looks like Emeka Ike now, and the whole internet has been debating about this. But my own question to you, sir, is that where is the surprise here? I mean, it's kind of sad.
Okay, the surprise is this. The context to this is this. Emeka Ike is in the race. Or so to say, he expressed the desire to run for House of Representatives.
Okay.
And he was registered in one of the southeastern states as an aspirant, and
right. Imo State, right?
Yes. So he now moved his what's it called?
Candidacy.
From that state to the Federal Capital Territory.
Right.
Supposedly, and so all of a sudden, the details of his profile is a political profile, the details that is supposed to have been softwared by the Independent National Electoral Commission in Nigeria by way of confidence or confidentiality. That of each Nigerian citizen, each Nigerian voter is supposed to have been given the utmost protection. And this is not just a question for INEC. This is something that would also involve the Nigerian Data Protection Agency. I know one of us on this team knows so much about that, and you may also know so much about that. So the breach in all this, why the details pertaining to Emeka Ike had to be
personal identifiable information, we call them here.
Yes, had to be put out there like that by the minister's media assistant, Mr. Lere Olayinka. Yes. And you would see the struggle of the minister today to pass this on in the chat he had, that, when he was asked about not getting CTC, certified true copy of rulings on some of the matters involving him and the Nigerian political stuff. He did the unthinkable by saying, oh, journalists should go to any length, whether there is FOI, Freedom of Information Act, and all that. They can even pay to get information. Yes, that not necessarily so. It is
when you're done, sir, I will add some context to that. Continue, sir.
Yes.
Yeah.
He should mind his business as a lawyer that has never made a successful outing in any law court in Nigeria. He should face his business as a political jobber. That is the FCT minister. Instead of trying to teach what he knows nothing about on how journalists can access or go for information and make it look as if it is so cheap to practice journalism. That is the tragedy. So in trying to use the issue of certified true copy of court rulings in Nigeria, which of course it is also a ludicrous position to maintain. So Wike and his team can get certified true copies, journalists cannot get, and to him that is normal, that people can go to any length. So he was using that as a soft landing on this question that is being asked: how did you get access to the back end of the INEC, protected data at INEC? So what this calls for is some vigilance on the part of Nigerians and everybody to upend the game, bring it all down, bring down the roof, and then let us rebuild all over. Because when trust in the system is not there, you will find the proliferation of banditry, you find proliferation of terrorism, you will find proliferation of kidnappings, just because the system, they're testing the water on how far they can go. And when you have state officials behaving like brigands, like just any common criminal out there, without honor, without integrity, and then they want to rationalize it on the fact that anything could go. No, the system should develop a way of letting them know that there are things you don't get away with. Now, when Wike made his appearance today, I still saw the way some journalists were setting him up like a high priest and not behaving like journalists. I mean, really, they were just, some of our colleagues there were just there like public relations consultants. But I need to single out one person for commendation. That is an editor that came from the Sun Group, the Sun Newspapers Group, Adetutu Folake. She was behaving on that show, on that press conference, like a true journalist, not genuflecting, not this repeat line of Your Excellency, and then who told them that journalists should go to assignments in order to be commending public officials? Is that part of the training? That cheapens the entire the entire practice. So kudos to Ms. Folake Adetutu Koyi for really standing out as a thoroughbred professional there today with Yes Wike. Now to the other question that we're asking here. INEC has a way of coming out with all kinds of explanation, and in government parlance and even in intelligence, you always talk of plausible denial. But the plausible deniability of what INEC knows about how Emeka Ike's profile got out would have to go beyond what we have always been said. Because in the past, when the antecedents of Mr. Amukito, professor of law, by the way, and chairman of INEC, when that became a subject of a controversy the other day on how he had been suspected of being a partisan member of the ruling party, that's why they got a forensic auditor that did a job and absolved him of any complicity or involvement, or that he never even had that. The report, this so-called report, which was given to Nigeria in filters, was served on the letterhead of INEC. One would think that should have come from the independent forensic auditors who did the job, directly talking to Nigerians. So what I'm saying is that whether we are scrutinizing this access to the back end of the data cloud at INEC, or in the past scrutinies being demanded of Professor Amukuton, Nigerians may never know the truth. And it subjects Nigerians to the same situation, same awkward predicament that Nigerians face when it comes to banditry, terrorism, and kidnappings, and all kinds of petty crimes. Mental health issue. To simply come out clean and let Nigerians have the truth about anything should not be too difficult for any government to want to be involved in. But of course, you're talking of Nigeria. They spend so much money. Living in truth does not cost much, but having to defend lies and deception and prebendalism and mendacity costs a lot. It costs a lot. So, yes, in Wike, Mr. Lere Olayinka, who, by the way, is a good personal friend. This is nothing personal, but they should come out clean. And if things like this have happened, it must stop going forward. This is all about nation building. Nobody should look at issues like this as a personal animosity. So much so that the foundation to the edifice called Nigeria is being broken, is being cracked, and may be ruined. We need to act better. This is the point to be made, Ola.
Absolutely, I agree with you 100%. You see, the INEC portal story, right? It's a fascinating one for me. And if you notice myself, I said, "Where's the surprise?" But I'm glad you gave me that analysis. The reality is that Nigerians, like you said, they need to do better. You were speaking about there's a balance here that needs to be stricken between freedom of press, I guess, and politicking, right? And we'll say, Your Excellency, and I can't help but to wonder, as I'm not a professional journalist, I'm not a professional politician. I can't help but to wonder how realistic it is for an average journalist in Nigeria to not kiss up to a Wike. I can't help but to just wonder that.
This is the advantage that we have living in a global village today. Don't they see how our colleagues in other jurisdictions all over the world, how they act? Because when you begin to kiss up to officials that should be scrutinized in the first place, you are beginning to really throw the spanner in the integrity of your practice as a journalist. How many people refer to President Donald Trump as Your Excellency before asking him the questions he should answer ordinarily? It's a constitutionally protected place. I mean, for journalists to operate from. So to go before anybody and begin to kiss up to the what's it called, to ministerial imperial ring is something that really gives me some jitters. And not just that. Hardly would you see them addressing these individuals as if the buffoonery displayed by late Idi Amin Dada of Uganda is something that must be emulated by everybody. You will hear them, Alhaji Chief Doctor. What is that? What is that? You know, oh yeah, the craze about titles, and then hardly would anybody say anything. Even the tradition that was imbibed by Nigeria, this what's it called? This state honor of the member order of Niger or Grand Commander Federal Republic. The British people that started it. Since, how many times have you ever heard them say, "Oh, King Charles, KBE, MNN, MO, and nonsense." Nonsense. Yeah, you know, inanities and vanities that puff people up for nothing.
Well, well, to be fair, and I want to move on to our special, right? To be fair, you know, it's part of our culture, you know, the edification by way of title.
What culture? Culture of psychophancy?
A titled red cap, you know, you have to pronounce it fully out. You know,
well, if anybody should talk of our culture and tradition, I should be eminently qualified to do that as a traditional chief.
You are.
Do you know that?
No, before you continue, because we run out of time, we'll pick it up right from that. Let me just put a demarcation here. Ladies and gentlemen, hit the like button, share, subscribe, turn up your notifications so you're notified when we go live. We'll be right back.